So when you're coming into the business degree, business school, you want to explore what fields you want to go in, but you're not too sure. You have heard stuff, you have researched stuff, but you do not exactly know what is involved in a particular role and what's not. So for that, you need to have, not just called a spring week, it's called a spring insight week to give you the insights of a field. So I'd say the purpose was I wasn't sure that I want to go in the field of management consulting or in the investment banking or perhaps the other divisions of finance. So after seeking out and then getting the opportunity, you actually learn what the R's are in this field, how working professionals are like, what is the sort of hierarchy, what are the company values. So I believe it's more about getting information for you. In investment banking, you've just heard the term investment banking and you don't know what is in it. And there are like massive fields in it. There could be leverage finance, there could be mergers and acquisition. So there are a lot of fields that I hadn't even heard of them before. So after going into it, after doing the investment banking, I think I have a pretty better idea, far more precise than it was before, that what are the areas I want to go in, what are the specific pros and cons of getting into each field. So I'd say, yeah, it was pretty great in that regards. Yeah, you certainly get a lot of information and sort of knowledge from people by working in teams. They have different skill levels, they have different experiences, they belong to different backgrounds in university. So it's a great experience, and especially in those 4 or 5 days, they make sure that in the start you're getting those ice breaking activities as well, in which you first try to learn from other people and get to know them, and there is that initial ice broken between you guys, and then afterwards you are asked to deliver presentations on perhaps a recent acquisition or a specific case study, and then you learn that there is a far greater insight by the other people. You thought this wouldn't even be a perspective, but after hearing those opinions, you realize how much value does each person from different background can add. So yes, that now I am taking a module that is called corporate finance, and we sort of study the same terminology, the same concepts that are used in the finance fields broadly. But still, you understand that there is a academic approach and then there is this practical approach. Yes, all of those concepts are used, the intrinsic valuation and stuff does not change, but still you understand the transferability of how your academics are actually going to help you in the career outside of these academics. So I believe your academics are pretty useful, but still to understand how they are used in the real world and what can you make out of it, it is imperative to have those sort of experiences. I remember the first conference at HSBC that we attended was by the head of European Middle Eastern EMEA division for investment bank. And it's not just about the content they speak that you can search up on their website, but you actually understand that the way they speak, how they speak, what values are actually important to the company and to the executives that are working in those companies. You actually find that if this company is right for me or not, what sort of values or the fundamentals that this particular company is representing. And then after that, ideas. I think it's more about the peers, because it's very, very competitive to get in, and the people other than you who are in those are from brilliant backgrounds with a brilliant academic record, and it's humbling as well. So the ideas, the exposure that you get from being there, not just from the particular stuff that is being covered, but the real life experience of being there, I think it's irreplaceable. So the tips that I would give to other students, I would divide them into two major categories. Number one would be how to sort of get into this experience, and number two, how to make most of this experience. So talking about the first thing is that I think everyone who applies to these fields would know that rejection is a very common thing, and you should sort of accept the fact that you won't be getting into every opportunity. Even the people who get into the best of best companies are perhaps rejected by some places. So you have to be quite persistent with it. You have to be quite consistent with all the efforts that you're putting in, and have to be sort of very, very particular in the way you write your CVs, you write your cover letters, and try to seek out maximum support from the career department of the university, which is quite great at King's here, and then your students and everyone. Like, your peers, your friends who could give you support in reviewing your CV, conducting your mock interviews. So I think that really, really helps. Number two, how to make the most of your experience. I think, like every other experience, it's about how much you socialize with other people, how much you try to learn from them, ask great questions, try to participate as much as you can. You know, if you like someone, a particular views of their regarding the field that you're working in, I think you should reach out to them, you should go up to them and ask some really insightful questions that not only increase your knowledge but also tells them that how much interested are you in this field. So the things that have been pretty useful with the careers team here at King's, I believe, is number one, the mock CV software that they have. I mean, you upload the CV on it and you instantly get a feedback from, I think, an artificial intelligence software. And what that does is that sort of gives you a benchmark score compared to the people who have been successful in their applications. And you know that if you like, what is the score of your CV, what particular changes do you need to make? Because the thing is that these AI softwares are in these big companies as well, which pass through your CV, and if your CV is not up to the mark, they just automatically reject you, and your application would never reach a real human being. So I think to get that initial screening, this software has been particularly useful for me. Number two is I have done a lot of mock interviews with this career consultant Jalal Afim. I think he is very great, and the way he gives me confidence and the structure to my answers, I think he is the one of the main people I would give credit to for getting this opportunity. And number two, there is this lady, Deborah, and she has edited my cover letter so much. She has given me such a good advice. I think King's career team really deserves credit for me getting this particular opportunity. Now I know which field do I want to go in, and in that field, what particular area or division would I want to work in. Number two is that it gives me a lot more insight into what are the ways of having a successful application in that particular area. Not necessarily I'd be successful or not, but it's just that now my applications and my cover letters, my CVs, and all of the stuff that you're supposed to do would be a lot more informed than it was before, or relatively to anyone who does not have this particular experience. And number three, this Insight Weeks create a sort of pipeline for me to go through. I can potentially be offered a position of a summer analyst next year if I am successful in the assessment center in January. That will be happening now. So yeah, this is the benefit that I get.